Hey all. All right, so let's talk Jamboard. So this video will be short and sweet, but I still want you to be able to walk away knowing what Jamboard is and hopefully some ideas for your classroom. So here's what we're gonna do. Before I even get into the why and the different ideas of Jamboard, I know for me personally, if I'm gonna ever take on a new tool, I wanna make sure it's easy enough to use, easy enough to implement. So that's the first thing I want to tell you is that Jamboard is already built into Google. And so therefore, if you are comfortable with like Google Drive and you're comfortable with Google Classroom, like when sharing a document to kids, you can do all the skills needed to send a Jamboard out like today. So here's what I mean. Check it out. Look, so in your Google Drive, you go to new and it has all these different things that you're used to, but Jamboard is right here too. So it's right there built into your drive. So if you ever want to make a new Jamboard, you just simply hit make a new Jamboard. And then you can start making one. And the second thing is it's just like docs and slides for classroom. So if you ever want to send a Jamboard to your students, all you would just do is like you do for everything else, pick it from Drive, and then you can assign it to your kids. And they have the same exact rights, which is awesome. So you can have it where students can view it, or they can edit it so they can all collaborate together, which you're going to see is a big use of Jamboard. Or if you want to use it more like a worksheet, you can make a copy. So that's the first thing I want you to know before I even tell you all about it, is that it's built into Drive. You already have the skills. You probably need to implement it. It's just a matter of why would you even want to use Jamboard when there's so many other kind of things out there. So I'm going to tell you the niche that it fills, and I'm also going to then tell you some of the examples that I've seen people using it for. So here, to me, is the main niche, because it feels a lot like Google Slides. You can kind of see it has slides like Google Slides. These are called frames, but it feels a lot like that. So I've always said, like, so what makes it any better than Google Slides or any different? And so here's what it does. It's really, really, really good for collaboration. So if you want to have multiple kids in a group working together, or your entire class working together on like one slide, it really lets them all brainstorm, throw things in together in live format. So it's really meant for a collaborative kind of place. So keep that in mind as you watch this. That's one of the main reasons it's good for. The other thing it's really good for is it's very, very user-friendly. And it's a good place to kind of combine different methods of kind of inputting information. So it's really easy for a kid to write something on here and highlight something here and draw something here and put a shape there. So if you have anything at all that really kind of combines potentially writing something and maybe drawing something, or even something that could be good for like a drag and drop, that's kind of what it puts all in one place, where I think Google Slides isn't super great for like a drag and drop or a drawing. And stuff like that. So that's, to me, the two main things that this can do. So let me just show you a couple examples of different things in different subject areas. I tried to really compile a lot of South Brunswick ones. So most of these are from South Brunswick teachers that I was able to find, and then other ones are just things I was able to find kind of online. So let me take you through it. So the first set of examples is going to be kind of like whole class kind of stuff. So this is the one that was from like our group. And so it's a really easy way to kind of do kind of any kind of generally brainstorming kind of stuff, where you do a four corners activity or a pro and con, and they can just kind of drag and drop their thoughts to one area. This is kind of what Kathleen Frazier, who uses it a lot, so I'm going to throw her name out there. So if you have Jamboard questions, hit me up, or definitely hit her up. But she says sometimes she kind of just uses it as like a whiteboard, like, hey, kid, come to the front of the class and show us. So just keep that in mind, that you can just simply use it as a whiteboard, imagining kids coming to the class and writing something on there. And you can see I kind of did it in three different ways. You can really let a kid kind of do that however they want. But you can have multiple kids writing on the board at the same time, which can be really beneficial in different colors for brainstorming, or exit cards or things like that. This is one I saw online, but just like an emotional check-in. So there was one that is like just simply putting their names all on a Post-it note, and you can just kind of drag their names over to a certain spot. So let you do that. And this one here, this is from Jackie Seitz, who uses it for her home base, just for like attendance purposes. So she just basically says like, hey, pop your name on here, and the kids can all quickly pop a name on there for attendance, or you can even have names for the different cards. So keep in mind, it can be something so simple as that, because it's so user-friendly that kids can easily just pop their name on there. Or you can do something like this, KWL charts, or any kind of brainstorming charts for either individual kids, or again, for groups of kids to collaborate together. Whatever you think makes sense for, of course, your project. All right, so now here are a couple math examples. So this is from Kathleen Frazier. And again, you can see she basically sent out the problem, they circled it, and then had to put a little Post-it note kind of explaining it. So again, it lets them draw and also type kind of in the same spot, which I think is a cool idea. This as well really kind of taps into that same idea, where they had to solve a problem, but show it here and type it here and kind of draw it there. So it really works well for that kind of situation. And what's nice about like the Jamboard is you can set your own background whatever you want, which is actually a really new feature, which is great. Or you can have like graph paper or line paper and things like that. So again, mathematics obviously kind of screams graph paper, but of course that could be used for science, physics, anything else, of course, that you would graph. Okay, so now switching gears to science, which of course is my favorite. So science, you could definitely do something that is like just simply label, where they can just put something here, then they could label this and say right ventricle. I was going to say V for now, so I don't misspell that and make a fool of myself. And so then pop that wherever that is and draw a line. So again, it just makes it really easy for labeling and dragging and dropping, that kind of thing. This, I think, is a great one. I know there's not everyone out there is a chemistry teacher, but hopefully you can still see maybe how this could be useful for you for simply writing in like the atomic number and stuff like that, but then for like electrons and putting them in the right spot of where they would go and stuff like that. So again, it really lets you kind of combine this. So this is from Nicole Hunter at the high school, who uses this just as, again, she says you use it almost every day for like just kind of like generally worksheet kind of situation, practice problems, things like that. So it doesn't need to be this big grand thing. And then also, again, this is also from Nicole Hunter at the high school, but same idea, just an easy way to kind of draw, and you can organize it and something like this. So it can be also kind of aesthetically pleasing. Okay, now we go to social studies. So this is just a simple timeline example. So it's really easy to put in pictures. And again, here's the little Post-it notes where you can kind of drag and drop and move things around. So again, you can kind of see how it's just really easy to have something like this. And this is a project that Mark Liflin did, who he had like 4 or 5 kids, I think. Actually, I don't know the size, but a group of kids collaborate on a certain thing. So this is the Louisiana to France secession. And so they had to basically put the objective and the friendship or whatever it is. So they kind of got to create their own jam however they want. And then on a different frame was a different situation in history, and then a bunch of kids were collaborating on that. So it's kind of like a collaboration, but also a jigsaw. So it's like kids working together and a jigsaw kind of activity, which I thought was just a really, really cool way to really have kids collaborate on one thing. So it's easy for you to kind of keep track of. And this was just a couple language arts things. Perhaps brainstorming, setting up your story. I don't truly know exactly the steps. I don't know if this is exactly how you do it, probably not, but you can kind of hopefully see the idea of how you might want to use it for pre-planning some sort of writing assignment. And then this I thought was amazing. This was from Sarah Boscano, shared this from one of her friends. This was a teacher who was kind of analyzing writing. So this to me screams like talk to the text kind of situation, where as they read a text that you put in there as like a background, they would try and go over words that they don't understand and put summaries of things and highlight things for certain things. So it really, really lets them easily interact with text, which I think is phenomenal from obviously a literature point of view. Or even a social studies point of view, if you're trying to talk to the text or anything like that, of course, that you're trying to do close reading or something like that. And so those are just some ideas of many I'm sure you can do, but I really wanted just to show you it's such a simple thing that's really dynamic for collaboration and being able to really use kind of all different kind of modalities. So that was your intro to Jamboard, what it does, some different ideas. And of course, if you want to talk to me, ask me questions, brainstorm anything at all with me, you know, you can always hit me up whenever you need.